So I thought episode 6 was good. Not really much has happened between now and episode 7. What are we going to talk about? Like, it's just been rain, frost, snow, and you've come as a leopard or a tiger. What? That would have been quite nice if they hadn't put the green bits in it. But what is that?
I think it's lovely. It's a nice, warm.
Have you been on safari?
Jumper. No, I'd love to go on safari.
I would love to. Shall we go on safari together? Unbridled on. Hold on. Producer's saying episode. We're off. Hello, everyone. If you're watching without pictures, away from YouTube, welcome to Unbridled, episode 7 with myself, Matt Chapman, and, of course, my usual sidekick, Mr. Patrick Brennan, former top rider, Gold Cup hero, and acrobat in the saddle. It's been quiet, hasn't it, the last 7 days? Bit quiet on the racing scene. Weather has taken over, weather news.
Yeah, really. You do expect a little bit in January, to be fair. But yeah, I used to think when I retired, maybe if there wasn't too much racing, it wouldn't be painful to be watching. But actually, I've realised that I love racing even more now, and I love watching it. So yeah, it's pretty boring when there's nothing to watch on a Saturday.
Yeah. Also, I don't know what it's like in your house, but my other half, because of the nature of my job, weather and travel is a big topic in my brain, like every day of the week. If I talk about weather and travel, my other half literally loses it, like completely loses the plot. Just does not want to know whether it's going to be snowing at 10 o'clock, raining at 11 o'clock, or whether I've had a tricky trip around the M25. And so this time of year is always tricky for me because I have to be very careful and think, okay, I can't talk about this when I get in the house. Cannot talk about weather and travel. Yeah. It's constant. I've got a good day ahead. If you're watching this most of you will be watching this after Wednesday. We record, as I always say, early Wednesday morning. Off to Tottenham later on, who play Liverpool. I'm excited for that. That should be another victory for us because obviously everyone knows we're better than Liverpool. So it's an exciting day ahead. And also I had quite fun on the road coming in because I had one of those, what I like to call a weaver, nothing to do with old fatty weaver. So I was driving along in probably lane 2. I am a very good driver from the point of view of always keeping left. I'm not a very fast driver, although I have quite a fast car. But it's too expensive to drive it.
I've seen your car.
Well, it's too expensive to drive it fast, so I'm very safe, slow driver. But I had one of those weavers who was getting annoyed with people.
Yeah.
And obviously you could see a gap in the fast lane about half a mile down and was going onto the inside, then the second lane. And a couple of other people got annoyed with him and blocked him in. So he'd done all those manoeuvres. And then about a mile later, I was still in front of him, having stayed in exactly the same lane. And that always amused. That tickled me, Paddy. Does that make me a bad person?
No, but that's similar to race riding.
Are you a weaver?
Panicking, innit?
Are you a weaver on the motorway? Do you go vroom onto the inside and then vroom onto the outside?
I think what you learn in England is you get a lot of honest drivers. Right. In Ireland, you get people coming off a junction a mile before the actual junction. Whereas in Ireland, you stay out and you sneak your way in just before the junction.
Yeah, I mean, there's no traffic in Ireland, just about around Dublin. But other than that, every road's empty, isn't it? It's like
there can be a bit of traffic now and again. But
you, of course, did struggle to keep horses straight. What chance have you got with cars? Our sponsors are still here. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? I think that's the longest show I've ever had with the same sponsor. Usually they've ditched me by now. But thank you to our sponsors at BoyleSports. We thank them for everything, really. Everything. There's coffee, the Unbridled mugs, the caps, your fat wage. They might get you a new hoodie.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So as I say, it's been a bit quiet. We've had meetings off. No jumps racing Saturday. Plumpton off. Chepstow, ridiculous. I'll just ask you about that. What are your thoughts on abandonments?
Tricky one, Matt. Tricky one. And now more than ever, clerk of the course wouldn't be a job you'd be queuing up for, would it? I think they're getting it from all angles.
Needs must. Might have to queue up for any job. You never know. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It is tricky, but there are cliches in horse racing, aren't there? Like, there are cliches. Clerk of the course, not a job anyone will want. Well, obviously it is, because there are loads of clerks of the courses and there are loads of people training to be clerks of the courses. So it is a job that people would want. It's like stores handlers, you know, doing a marvellous job. No one thinks they don't do a marvellous job, but it is a job. That's the job, isn't it? To put the horses into the stalls. If you do it, you kind of, you know what I mean? There are a lot
Yeah.
of cliches. I think you've just cliched out there.
Yeah, no, but
Big cliche. Everyone listening to this.
Clark, of
Oh,
course.
Paddy, you're cliche.
Of course, it's a job you want, but they get pressure. You know, they get people phoning them, say, how we looking, and they're 50-50. Oh, give it every chance, and then they might be thinking the day before we might call this off, and then they'll get phone calls from jockeys, agents, like the Musselburgh scenario. That was a farce.
I looked into this a bit, Paddy, just very briefly, because I have a suggestion,
Mm.
which I think I cannot see any negative to, and I feel would change the way the public look at these kind of things. I didn't know this. I looked at the Jockey Club rules for abandonments, and I always thought just that they give 50% refund back if it's abandoned before the third race.
Right.
But it's not actually quite as clear cut as that, because it says abandonment before completion of the third or feature race. I never knew that bit about the feature race. To be honest, I've never looked at it before. I never knew that. So if the feature race was the fifth race on the card, technically you'd get your 50% back, because if the abandonment comes before the feature race, whichever is later, in other words, you get your money back. But I just think all they have to do is tweak this little rule, and instead of it being before the third race, make it before the fourth race.
Yeah.
I think that one race would change everyone's interpretation of it, Pat. And I would like Jockey Club racecourses, that I would like any other racecourse. I haven't checked all the independent racecourses rules. Everyone will have their own rules. But I would just ask all racecourse groups to change it from the third to the fourth. I think from a clerk of the courses point of view, it puts less pressure on, or at least the interpretation that there's pressure on, to run two races and then we only have to give 50% back. The people on social media who immediately go, oh, they just wanted to run two races, so they only have to give 50% back. I think if it was three, everyone would say, okay, well, you on a 6-race card, you've got through half the card and you're giving 50% back. That's not the worst deal on earth. And I just think if you changed it from 50% back before the fourth race rather than the third race, everyone would look at it differently, and I don't think it would cost racecourses. Let's face it, we're talking about a very small number a year that would actually be abandoned in that scenario. So I just think that little tweak would change everything people think.
Possibly. But I don't think when a clerk of the course is giving racing the go-ahead, they have that on their mind. Personally, I don't. But the biggest sufferer here is the staff, the stable staff, the trainer, getting to work earlier, lorries getting on the road, you got to turn around. Yeah, something needs to be done, and they need to make decisions. But at the same time, if they make a decision and later it becomes like it's raceable, they're wrong as well. So it's not an easy job.
For those who were racing, the mud was a bit like racing through clay, which is probably why the yellow clay was a good winner, I thought, of the Lawlor's Naas Novices. So quite an interesting horse, the yellow clay, because was a fair bumper horse without being outstanding, but seems to be really getting it together over hurdles.
Yeah, that was. You talk about ground. That was a grueling race, and he toughed it out well, but there was no hiding place there. They went a good even gallop. A nice horse of JP's. Ted Walsh, you could see halfway down the back he was in trouble. I think he pulled up. But Yellow Clay could do no more than what he did. But maybe on better ground he'll find stronger opposition.
Mm. Sorry, my mind's wandered, Pat, as it often does in this, but like, when are we going for dinner? Like, you promised this big thing. It went on every news outlet in the world. You went viral.
I ain't dodging it.
I've got to be honest, Patrick. I'm a little bit disappointed that from this side of the Unbridled studio, the Matt side rather than the Paddy side, it's gone quiet.
No, it's not gone quiet.
Hold on. Let me look at my missed calls from Paddy Brennan in the last 2 weeks. No,
I've never called you. I've never ever called you ever. So I ain't going to call you now. I'll message you.
You have actually called me, and you called me a nasty word once, but we'll leave that for now. but no, exactly my point.
Right, I've got an answer.
Do you have my number?
Yes, but I don't need it. I'm in Scott's this Sunday night, actually, in London. Very posh, I know. But I'm going to speak to them about...
So you're going out for a posh dinner?
Yeah.
But you seem to be failing to communicate with the people you're actually meant to be taking.
Yeah, well, we're going to get some dates from that night. We're going to get some dates, and we're going to make it
So
happen.
you're just pushing it back. You
No,
know,
not
every
pushing it
week.
back. I want it to happen in
I'm
January.
just telling you that every week you delay, the food will be getting more expensive. Food prices are only going to go like that this year.
Food isn't an issue. It's the wine now.
Well, that's going to. Everything's becoming more expensive. Petrol will be double. Not that we'll be able to drive on this night, obviously, because we're going to be absolutely sloshed.
But the answer to your question, it's definitely happening.
I mean, I'm not convinced.
I am.
Nicky Henderson's not convinced.
It's happening. I'm a man of my word.
Well, let's just before we carry on, just in case. Let's just. Buckers, chappers, morning to you. I hope everything's well. I'm in the studio, the podcast with Paddy Brennan, and just to say that he's not mentioned to me anything about dinner at all yet. Just out of interest, has he messaged you at any point about taking you to dinner? Feel free to send a voice message back and just let me know, because all of us are getting concerned that Paddy might be trying to wiggle out of this. Hope you're well, Buckers. Right. Okay. Atlantique.
Yeah, it's good.
Single figures for the Arkle.
I'll be very concerned about ground.
He's not going to be.
He loves that soft, heavy ground. Goes through it so well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those horses. He's a good horse.
Yeah, of course he is. He looks a joy to ride. Loves jumping, but when you handle that ground that well, yeah, you'd think a better ground, he mightn't just put up a performance like that.
In the pocket, Firefox. What do you make of them for the future?
I was fascinated to watch In the Pocket, but he was in trouble, Matt. He was very keen, but down the back, he looked on one rein. He was hanging violently left. There could be a problem there. But he's a horse I definitely wouldn't rule out. He was so impressive at Wexford. And yeah, he's obviously got a very good engine, and they'll get him back to his best.
I mean, so this time last week I wrote about the fact that I was upset that Ben Pauling might swerve a match with Sergino, with the jukebox man. And I fully understand that, well, you tell me, but you might sit there and just say, well, the jukebox man has got no chance against Sergino. I'm not so sure about that. And I don't think you should swerve a horse in this game. Not one horse.
Yeah, you should.
What?
You are wrong again.
So
I can't say again because you haven't been wrong yet, but no, you can't.
So you'd swerve one horse?
I would swerve Sergino unless you're going to get a situation at Cheltenham where there's going to be 2 inspections for heavy ground because it's that deep. That's the only way you could take him on.
Okay. So if you'd swerved Ali Power in the mare's hurdle when she came down at the last, what would you say to that?
Yeah, you have.
If you swerved Duvan when he was, what was he, like 2-11 or something for the Champion Chase?
But you just
nearly lost.
You know, that's a prediction. If my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle. How do you know that's going to happen? You know, depending on a horse falling at the last.
Hold on, I've got to think that through. Okay. Producers just said, please don't think about that too much. Producer Tom is back this week. Callum did one show last week. He was very good, but as with many producers of me, one show was enough for him.
We scared him off.
Tom is back. He's not very well, Thomas. He's been a bit ill over the Christmas period, but
I know.
It's difficult to tell when you look at him. Right. He's just said this isn't helping either. The New Lion. Gone to Darren Yates. Well, not hasn't gone to Darren Yates. Darren Yates has sold to JP McManus. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, the angle of this, which has not been discussed by anyone, is not Darren Yates selling. It's not the New Lion having new colours or whatever. It's why. Why is JP seemingly running horses more often, being seen at the races more often, buying perhaps more, a little bit like Sir Alex Ferguson? Do you feel these lads who have got a lot of money are getting a little bit later in life? It's a last hurrah sounds very harsh, but you know what I mean? Like, is this a case of enjoying life while you can as much as anything?
Got to be a little bit careful here, Matt, how we word this situation.
But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely do. But if you're in JP McManus's situation, I think you say he's buying more. I'm not so sure he's buying more. I think he's probably buying more quality. I don't think he's buying necessarily more numbers. If you were in a position to buy the New Lion, absolutely, you take it with both hands. But we've heard all sorts from Dave Yates and Darren. Sorry,
no relation to Paul Townsend.
we've heard from Darren. We've heard what he's got to say about getting out racing and stuff. But so much of that you believe.
Yeah, I mean, do you think there might be more going on behind the scenes than perhaps he's giving on, or not? Like, do you think there could be other?
Look, it came as a surprise to me. He's walking in at Newbury. Luckily on the right side of the horse, no pushing away the staff here, which was good to see. But he's saying he might have a champion hurl horse, and he's this and he's that. And while the enjoyment is continuing, next thing, breaking news: horse is sold. It comes as a big surprise to me.
Except if it's all part of a master plan. Like if you're thinking of selling a horse, and that's what your plan is, and let's just take everything at face value. This has been a plan since the start of the season. The plan, they had this conversation, according to Darren, with Dan Skelton, that the idea was to get a grade 1 and then sell.
Did they though?
Well, I only have their word for it, Pad. I mean, like, you know, I can't, I don't have any reason not to believe that.
Well, I can give you a reason that it's not that easy to win a grade 1.
No, but no one said it was. But Dan Skelton, if we believe everything has gone on, Dan Skelton has said, I think I can win a grade 1 with this horse. Yeah. Darren has said, okay, well, let's go for it. We'll sell after the grade 1. When you win that grade 1, if you're then thinking, I'm about to sell, wouldn't you come on TV and then say, this horse I would enter in the champion hurdle this year because we think he's that good? If you're about to sell, that's how you sell, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the words came out for that reason, but look, maybe it's an offer you can't refuse, and if you can buy a favour for Cheltenham Festival, you do it.
Yeah, and people who think it's a lot of money or it's a waste of money, like, money is all about what you've got. For JP McManus, 750, a million, whatever the deal was, it's got to be somewhere in that ballpark, you've got to think. It's a drop in the ocean. It's like you and me spending 20 quid on a night out or whatever. Although your night out will be a lot more than 20 quid when you take me out, I'll tell you that, son. You can add 2 more noughts onto that at least.
Yeah. Look, it's not for us to say what JP spent
3
on the
noughts,
new
probably.
line. But the side you don't see about JP McManus is sometimes the money he gives to racing welfare and many other charities.
100%.
And he's not a person that wants anything to take from that. I was in Connemara recently, Ballyconneely, and when it came to funds for a pony racing in Ballyconneely, far west of Galway, there was a letter sent to numerous owners, many well known, and let's say if there was 10 letters sent for a donation, 2 came back. JP was one of them. They're the things we need to focus on. And as I said,
when Freddie Tulitsky had his injury and I did the GoFundMe, JP was right on it.
Yeah, he's on it, and he's very important for the sport. So we'll be, if whatever happens with the new line, we'll be cheering him on. He's a hell of a horse.
Yes, he is. I think. Yeah, if we think that Cello was quite as good as on paper.
I rode work upsides him before he won at Chepstow. And as I said to you, when you're in Dan Skelton's, they don't say a lot, but I seen enough that day. I thought he's very, very good. Yeah,
I can't remember on this show. Did you take the New Lion or Regent Stroll?
I can't remember.
I'm going to play that back.
Anyway, and when Dan Skelton's bigging one up, you got to listen. They've never hidden. He didn't look that impressive when he won at Newbury the time before, but then they pressed on, and he's the way he jumped and stuff. But yeah, look, you can only beat what's in front of you. Matt, he's a Cave Tara. Not many of them about. He's only going to get better with age.
I love this.
Sky's the limit.
I don't know if Dan Skelton is the kind of person that brushes maybe colleagues up the wrong way or other trainers. I don't know. Certainly when he started, there were 1 or 2 rumours that people weren't completely happy at the way they went about getting horses into the yard.
Yeah, but
I think he's an absolute breath of fresh air. Like the way he talks about the game, the way they campaign, the positivity. I love that outfit, I've got to say.
But some of the stories you hear about successful people are Matt. I remember there was going back years, there was stuff going around about Q Card, how he was offering to train it and stuff. I spoke to Mr. Bishop and we touched on that subject, and he was embarrassed by the fact that people thought that never ever happened. And when you become successful in life, at any sport or any walk of life, you can sometimes be called a or whatever else it is, just because you're good. So no, I think, however Dan might rub people up the wrong way, he's only going to go one way, and that's up.
Mm. No, yeah. Who did you rub up the worst in your riding career?
Oh, I rubbed up plenty.
Yeah, but who? Names, please. Who, when they walked into the weighing room, they looked at you and they just thought, "Oh, Patrick Bennington here today."
I probably had more enemies in the weigh room than I had friends, but it didn't bother me. I wasn't there to be friends with everyone. I tried to get on with everyone. If they didn't like me, Matt, I wasn't going to go around offering them cups of tea. That's life. I try and do my best. But yeah, when you're in a sport where you're trying to win every race, don't need to be friends with everyone. I try and get on with everyone, but like you, try and be your friend, but at times it's difficult.
Right, let's move on. If you're watching on or listening in on Spotify, you're just thinking, "Oh, Chappers, he's got to put himself together now. He's just got to gather himself, gather in like Madgeborough will be as he looms up upside Sagina at the second last, and then Nico just squeezes the big horse.
Who?
Nicolai Chastel. Why are you looking at me like that? What have I done now?
More what he's done, Matt.
What's he done?
You know what he's done.
I mean, you got it wrong, and he was amazing. I mean, you just got to accept that, Paddy.
I wonder where he is right now.
All I know is he's doing better than you.
No, but do you reckon he's the kind of man that's jetted off to the ski slopes or Barbados?
Definitely. And also downhill, super fast because he's got no hair, streamlined.
I can't imagine he's brushing the snow out of Nicky Henderson's drive. Can you?
No. Jerry Maguire.
Hey.
Jeremiah McGrath.
One of the greatest films I ever watched.
It's my favourite film.
Oh, we're not allowed to be the same.
No, we are with that.
No, we're not.
Well,
the soundtrack.
Producer Tom will be just bored. Already he's asked us. Yeah, so the Dazzler used to call me Jerry, you see.
Did he?
Yeah.
What, you look like the kid?
No, he used to, because when I was his agent, he'd just say,
oh yeah, Jerry Maguire.
Because Dazzler loved money, loved it. And he'd ring up and he'd go, Jerry, he'd never call me Matt. He'd go, Jerry, where are we going this week? And I'd sort of go, well, we're doing this. He'd go, okay, Jerry, remember, money never sleeps, show me the money. And then we carry on with the day.
You're nothing like Jerry Maguire.
No, I don't play around and I don't treat people badly. And I've never had a mission statement. My mission statement would just have one word on it: survive. Right, let's move on. Gold Cup entries. I just think this is the most pathetic story. It's just bollocks. But if you are listening and you don't know what we're talking about, there aren't many British horses in the Gold Cup. Remember when Arkle was running? There were only about 3 or 4 runners in the Gold Cup, let alone 5 British entries or whatever. I just think this is such a non-story. Yes, Britain hasn't got many Gold Cup hopes at the moment. Big deal. What's the issue here? I don't understand. What's the big story? Tell me, Paddy.
We need a story sometimes, Matt, but do we know the facts of how many English entries are in this?
5.
5.
Yeah.
None of them.
Thanks for doing some research.
None of them can win it, right?
I think Grey Dawning's the shortest price, and he's 33 to 1.
He might not
as
be
we
a
speak.
Definite runner, but I don't know.
I mean, look,
but when
the UK is not going to win the Gold Cup this time around. Big deal.
Yeah, but when you go back to when you had Cato Star, Neptune, Cato Star, Neptune Collonge, Denman.
Hold on, Neptune Collonge?
He finished second in the Gold Cup.
Yeah, it's a very strange horse to mention in this conversation.
No, it's not. I'm just saying when you go back to the English dominance in the Gold Cup, that was then. Now it's the Irish. It will swing back. It just takes time.
Exactly. There are lots of horses in the Chapman. I mean, look, I understand it's a great headline and, old Dickie Johnson's in the paper saying we've got to do better and all that. And that's kind of the obvious response. But
hey, old Dickie Johnson won 2 Gold Cups. May I tell you?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Which ones?
Native River.
Very good.
Looks like trouble.
Very good. Very good. He was a rider I loved as well. I loved the decking of them at the last. How many did he deck at the last when he went for that
Yeah.
15-foot stride at the last?
Him and AP could get more out of a horse than anyone else, I felt, to the finish. I don't know how they did it. It was the power or the strength, but they could just, they were so strong.
So, coming back to the Gold Cup, we're not fussed, are we?
Yeah, it's the way it is. But like, if you're looking at 19 entries, you're probably straight away 10 runners, maybe less.
I mean,
That's more of a worry.
yeah. I mean, already you're just thinking, okay, well, that's this year, but hopefully the Jukebox Man, for instance, could be
Yeah.
up against Galopin de Champs going for his 4th Gold Cup in 2026.
Absolutely.
Okay, we sorted that out. Spillane's Tower. I mean, I hate to hark back to this, but we go back to that John Durkin. Oh, Factor File and Spillane's Tower, new kids on the block. Galopin de Champs has gone at the game, 2.5 flipping miles. Already Factor File has now been destroyed by Galopin de Champs over a proper trip. And now Spillane's Tower isn't even entered in the Gold Cup and is in the Ryanair.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay,
Maybe.
there is.
There isn't.
There is.
Because I honestly believe Imperial Commander would not have won a Gold Cup if there was no Ryanair. He ran in the Ryanair the year before he won the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
If he'd run in the Gold Cup the year before he won the Gold Cup, he wouldn't have won that Gold Cup, and he definitely wouldn't have won the next one.
Would Q Card have won the Gold Cup if you hadn't decked him?
Yes. He would. Do you want me to feel any better about that?
Well, all I've got to say to that is this, because an interesting message came my way the other day. I'll let him know that he'd never have won the Gold Cup on Q Card if he stood up.
Nah, I don't believe that.
That message, which I won't say who that came from.
I have a fair idea.
But that message will be part of another show when the person who sent me that message will be a special guest. I might not tell you that they're coming on that day because I suspect you and him don't see eye to eye.
Anyway, I've got one question for you, and this is quite boring, I know, but I have to ask it. I have to ask it because I'm going to feel better. How many shows did you last on Dancing on Ice or whatever it was called?
In my life, that experience was the most exciting experience of my life. And I loved every minute of it. And I was heartbroken literally heartbroken. Funny enough, one of the male dancers who was on it, who
Nice.
isn't on it anymore now, but one of the male skaters, I should say, he sent me a message the other day, and he does a lot of good stuff this day with his missus and really nice people. So I met a lot of really nice people, and one or two still keep in touch, even though I was only there for about a minute before I got the sack.
Okay.
But it was heartbreaking. It was the worst week of my life. I remember waking up the next day, and it was a debate on, I think it was 5 Live or something like that, and there was the lady talking about TV or something, absolutely just ripping me, like saying, who is this person? This is the worst person on earth. And it was a horrible, horrible time in my life. But the worst thing about the whole thing, Paddy, was that not everyone would know this. Some people will understand. Like we did a rehearsal of the whole show is done as if live in the afternoon before the evening performance. And everything I did in the evening, I'd done in the afternoon, yeah? All the producers had watched it. And they'd all come in after the afternoon show and said, well done, that was really good. In the evening, we did exactly the same. And by the next day, I was Beelzebub. And I was away with the fairies. It was the most upsetting time of my life. Thanks for bringing that up.
One last thing on that.
The thing is, I'm still doing a bit of telly from time to time. But
okay,
you are not ever going to win the Gold Cup.
One last thing on that.
Yeah.
It hasn't bothered you one bit, has it? Has it? One word answer.
I did get paid for every episode.
Move on.
It has bothered me, yeah. Because as you know,
Right, come on, we moved on now.
People in the cars now switching podcasts. But the problem is you don't get many chances in life with that kind of thing. It's like when trying to win a Gold Cup.
Yeah.
2 or 3, with your top jockey, you might only get 2 or 3 proper chances, even if you're a top jockey. Or one chance.
I got one chance to win King George.
Like, let's take Sean Bowen right now. He's never had a chance to win a Cheltenham Gold Cup, and he's going to be champion jockey. Like, you get 1 or 2 chances in a career. That was my chance, and it could have led to so many other things if it had gone well.
Yeah.
And as it is, I'm sat in a studio with you, completely. Right. Okay. So Spillane's Towers only in the Ryanair. Ile Francais entered the Champion Chase, Ryanair and Gold Cup. I'd like him to run in the Champion Chase. Where would you like him to run?
Yeah, I get your Champion Chase point, but
Hang it out front.
even if yes, Matt, you have a point, but I just cannot see it happen. Big difference going to Cheltenham. I'd say he likes a flat track. You get him on his head early over 2 miles. That's my opinion, but it's a debate.
Who's going to make the running in the Champion Chase?
John Bond will be good and forward. I reckon they've maybe just, if he can get near the front, that's what they'll be thinking on him. Bit of room, send him on, get him under pressure.
Outstanding rider, of course.
Who?
Tactically astute. Chastel. He's got what you just lacked. Factor File entered in the Ryanair as well as the Gold Cup. What would you do with Factor File?
Look, there's a few races to be run yet, but I would say he'll run in the Gold Cup. And the better the ground, the better his chance. And I would not rule him out.
Yeah, look, he might not win it because Galopin des Champs is a special horse, but he's definitely worth a place.
I think he's got a massive chance, and Galopin will take all the plaudits, and rightly so at the minute. Unbelievable. Just name it. He'll take all the plaudits and a worthy favourite. But like Constitution Hill, he's not unbeatable. You might think he is. And I think Factor File, if the ground was decent, closing on good by the Gold Cup, he's got a massive chance.
And I completely have taken on board what you said about Imperial Commander. I get that. I get it in that particular case. But I just put this out there. If there was no Ryanair chase, the Gold Cup field would be a lot bigger. People would be experimenting. It would have a lot more interest in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But doesn't mean the results will be any different to the first 2 or 3. Possibly not, Matt. The right horse will run the Gold Cup. Trainers and owners know what they've got, and they know the card they have to play.
Do you want some either ors? Like this or that's?
Go on then.
How about, okay, Mare's Hurdle. Lossymouth or Brighter Days Ahead?
Neither. I hope they both run in the Champion Hurdle.
No, which one's going to win it if they run in it, you banana?
Lossymouth.
See, immediately now I'm thinking, this was the problem. Trainers said something fairly simple to you, like, Paddy, middle to back. And you come back in having front run and said, sorry, I didn't really get that.
They ain't got a clue, most of them.
Okay. Which trainer had the least clue that you rode for? Oh, go on, just say. They won't be listening. It won't go out on social.
I can't.
Oh, just say Fergal O'Brien. Go on.
He never gave me instructions. If he did, I didn't listen to him, so.
Okay. It's always been your problem. Same with this show. Christ, Tom.
Tom George used to give me special instructions. Good start, he'd say. Good start. I'd jump off out the back. You didn't always listen.
Right.
Good start. Yeah, no bother, Tom. Out the back.
Okay, so you respected Tom George. Ryanair, Factor File or Banbridge?
Oh, great one. Good shout, that.
Thank you.
Banbridge.
Okay. Just on that, do you think Banbridge should be in the Gold Cup or Ryanair?
Ryanair.
Okay.
Very hard to beat, wouldn't he?
Okay. Bumper, Calypso's Chance or the monster that is Wind Beneath My Wings?
Calypso Chance to one Patrick, one on for Gordon, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, him. But I think they might have found one in Ascot recently. Did you see that one of David Pipes? Oh.
Yeah, that's the horse we just talked about, Paddy, Wind Beneath My Wings.
What was that his name?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're, yeah. But
You're all right today.
No,
you're all right.
These names, look, I'm getting a bit muddled here.
Okay.
You've upset me about the old dancing on ice, but go on.
What the hell? Like, how can you get upset about that when you feel sorry for me? Gold Cup, Galopin des Champs or Factor File?
I've been Factor File all the way through, Matt. I'm going to stick with him.
Okay. And just on the Gold Cup, Paddy Brennan or Brian Cooper?
Oh. You're on about lads upsetting me now. We had some words. Oh.
About?
Oh, yeah.
tee it up for me.
Move on there, Matt.
You know, Coops was voted Ireland's sexiest sportsman in his teens.
Was he, yeah?
Yeah. There was a vote and he won it.
Were you looking for an Irish passport at the time you were?
No.
No?
He was Ireland. Look, don't get jealous. Champion chase. This is ridiculous. John Bon or Gaelic Warrior?
Yeah, John Bon at the minute, yeah.
What do you mean at the minute?
Well, Gaelic Warrior, he ran at Leopardstown, didn't he? Fuck me.
I don't think Gaelic Warrior is a 2-miler.
But,
Genuinely.
But what is he?
He's a 2-mile, 2-furlong right-handed horse.
Where do you find that?
I don't know. That's the trainer's job, isn't it? To find the right race.
Musselburgh.
Yeah. Talk about pigeonholing a horse. 2-mile, 2-furlong right-handed. Ballyburn or the Jukebox Man in the Brown Advisory?
Jukebox Man. Ballyburn, you know, you're talking about trip and stuff. He needs to jump better, doesn't he?
Not over maybe over 2 miles, but not over further. He didn't jump badly first time, did he?
No, but his technique over a fence needs to get better. He had Paul Townsend dead on him with the last kick.
Who?
Paul
Townend.
Look, just because I can't pronounce his surname, he knows.
You've had difficulties in this show, Patrick.
Anyway, he did so well to stay on him, and I just think his technique over fences, no matter what trip he goes over, needs to improve.
Okay. You have the choice of backing Sergino in the Arkle, or you can back the whole of the other field, at the same odds. So let's say Sergino's 4-6, or you can back the whole of the rest at 4-6.
Ludus Sud, have I pronounced that right?
Yeah.
I'd like each way you'd have him.
No, but you can have the whole field, Patrick.
No, I don't. No, Sergino is honestly he is as exciting a horse I've seen over a fence for a very long time.
I'm confused now. Are you Lodesud or Sergino?
Yeah, Sergino to win.
So why did you mention Lodesud?
Because each way is 14-1.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question.
All right, well, I've just answered it then.
It's Arkle, Sergino, or any other horse.
Sergino.
Okay. Champion hurdle. I mean, this is just...
No, this is brilliant. Go on.
Honestly, Tom must have been drunk when he suggested this combination. Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth?
Lossiemouth.
Jesus. Like I'm stubborn. I'm obstinate. I am determined. But even I can accept when I've got something hopelessly wrong.
Never.
And I so see now why you were forced into retirement due to drying up opportunities, because it's like
yeah.
Oh dear.
If Constitution gets beat in the champion hurdle, what can we get from you?
If Constitution,
would you walk a track in your boxer shorts or something like that?
Jesus.
All charity donations, of course.
If I do that, I'll win big boobs of 2025.
No, but could we get have a think about it? We'll get back to that on the next show.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'd want. Let me have a think.
Yeah.
I'd like to do something that I don't like doing.
Okay.
Rather than just
Okay.
spending thousands on food, which is what you've got to do. So, Paddy, I have to put up with you week after week on this show. You live on winning the Gold Cup, basically. That's it, isn't it? What else did you win? Big?
Nothing.
Okay, so what I'd like is a dual Grand National hero, a Gold Cup hero, a man who rode over 60 Grade 1 winners, and just was one of the... In fact, he was so good, Paddy, that once you tweeted this, you have to admire, beep, beep, he's everything that's right about racing. Mouth shut, work hard. It is the one, the only, the incomparable Davy Russell. He's on here. He's with us. He's unbridled. Hello, Davy.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Paddy.
Nice. Look at you. You've turned into sort of a yeti. What's happened?
Well, it's winter time. No, I'm actually, you caught me at the wrong time. I'm on my way into town to get a hot shave and haircut. I must go to America Friday morning. We're going over to the sales in America Friday morning. So I was just busy at home, and sometimes you say you don't have time to shave, but it takes about 5 minutes. But it's just I had nothing to shave for. I was going nowhere. Yeah. And I heard you talking about your partners and your wives and things, and a happy wife is a happy life. So I need to tidy myself up before I go.
Go on, Davy boy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wonder whether Paddy's missus is ever happy. But anyway, that's another story, pal. I'm sure she is. You do something right. I mean, you genuinely are a big admirer of Davy. I know people tweet silly things at silly times in their life or whatever. Maybe you were just having an off day or something, and you just wanted to seeking some attention. But as a jockey, was that a man you did admire?
Yeah, well, obviously with Davy, we go back to the very start. I can remember the first day he turned up in Jim Bolger's. He was just incredibly laid back, and from that day on, we sort of got to know each other. But I've admired him all the way through his career. Yeah,
I bet you had a shave that day when you turned up to Jim's, Davy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You were very well presented, and it was a great start for us as kids. You know, you'd get away with murder at home. Like I got away with murder at home, anyway. You know what I mean? But you didn't get away with it down Jim's. You were swiftly put in your place. But I could tell you a story too about Paddy now blowing Jim Bolger, so I could.
oh,
Yeah,
geez.
well, that's the whole point of this show, Davy. Kick on, tell us.
I remember Paddy and Joey.
Joey Elliott.
No, yeah, Joey Elliott was there, and Joey Fallon, is it?
Yeah,
Joey
Fallon. Yeah.
Yeah, you got kicked out of your digs.
What did you get kicked out of, Paddy?
You were bouncing you were fighting, you were bouncing on the beds, and you broke through the hardboard on the side of the beds, and they got out.
Yeah, I think it went through the roof. I think.
And went through the roof. Yeah. They had to come and live with me and Mrs. Murphy for a couple
That's
of
right.
weeks.
Yeah, Mrs. Murphy. Yeah.
I mean, there's been a theme here, Davy, on the show from people we've had on that you would never ever go anywhere near, well, nighttime places, hotels, anything like that with Paddy Brennan. I mean, it always seems to end in disaster.
Yeah, I used to love the crack with Paddy. Jeez, we'd always end up somewhere fun and exciting, and something would happen. He's one of them fellas. Martin Ferris and David Condon are similar. They have no matter what you do, you could be going to the most boring event that man ever created with Martin Ferris or Davy Condon or even the likes of Paddy, and something would happen, and you'd end up having a brilliant night out of nothing. It would be fantastic. I can remember. I'll tell you a story about myself and Martin Ferris and Davy Condon went to some charity thing that we were doing in Tallow, and for some unknown reason there was a raffle, as there is at every charity event in Ireland, and the lads won a bottle of whiskey. And of course I was driving, I don't drink, so the lads decided to drink the bottle of whiskey on the way home. And there's the V up over a mountain. It's a shortcut across from, say, Lismore to Cahir. And halfway across, Davy Condon had to go to the toilet. And if you could imagine the V like going across in Yorkshire, going across the mountains in Yorkshire, there's it's big valleys. You know, you're literally on the edge of the earth. There's the road and a big, massive drop off it. So Davy Condon was standing on the edge of the road, going to the toilet. And if he wasn't, Martin Ferris saw his opportunity and kicked him in the arse. And drove him over the side of the mountain, right? And he rolled down and he rolled down and he rolled down, and there's nothing up there, only sheep. And Davy Condon rolled into a carcass of a dead sheep. So he came back up and he climbed back up the side of the mountain. I said, no way, you're not getting into my car like that. Not a hope. I said, just under no circumstances. So we had to strip him down to nothing. Like, he was stark naked and really, really under the influence from drinking the whiskey. Like, he was just glassy-eyed, really, like there was a devilment in his mind. But so he was stark naked, sitting in the back of the car, and it was 2:00 in the morning. And there's this shortcut then through Cahir, and it's a one-way street. But we decided to go down. We were going the one way, but we were going the wrong way down the one way. And jeez, if we did anyway, the blue lights turned on behind us, and the cops pulled us in. And I rolled down my window and I said to the guards, the first thing I said, I promise you, it's not what it looked like. So Martin Ferris was drunk in the front. Davy Condon was drunk in the back. Stark naked, not a stitch of clothing on him. And I said to the guards, I said, look, I'm sorry. I can't explain it. I said, but it's. I promise you, it's not what it looks like. And they said, geez, lads, we wouldn't have enough paper to fill out the forms. They said. So we got away with it. But it was always, and the same with Paddy. I remember Paddy. Do you remember we was going? We were so wild. We ride horses all day long, brush them over in the evening, clean the yard, and then we decided to go into a riding school inside in Kilkenny and ride more horses around for the evening time.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Davy.
It was great crack.
That element of craziness, Davy, is that almost in every jockey out there, do you feel? Or to a certain extent, obviously everyone's got different personalities, but particularly actually in Ireland, do you like I've always said, Paul Townend, I mean, when I used to do my regular Irish trips, and I've got a lovely photo, one of my most treasured photos actually is of someone took a photo of me interviewing Davy at Punchestown one day, black and white photo. I'll get, it will be up by now because I'll get Thomas to put it up. And particularly in Ireland, is there an element of if you get into that jockey's room and become part of that community, there's a craziness involved with it?
Yeah, we kind of live a Peter Pan lifestyle, Matt. It's probably the best way to describe it. We're very childish in ways, and you must remember we're on when everybody else is off. So we kind of usually find a bit of devilment during the middle of the week, and we're kind of left to our own devices as a small bit, and we're all start very young. We leave home very young, and we rely on each other to help us along the way. So if Paddy's in a bit of bother, he'd ring me, or if I'm in a bit of bother, I'd ring Paddy or something like that. And you might be stuck in a nightclub somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you might need to be picked up. And there's always that kind of a thing with us. You know, you'd always, no matter what, you'd have each other's back. But at the same time, when you go out in the race course, you'd be trying to beat each other, and you'd be taking kind of you'd be giving yourself a pat in the back, like when you'd be beating each other, you know. But at the same time, then you go out at night time and you'd be all trying to kiss the same girls and trying to,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a great lifestyle. And people ask me, like, my kids, would I leave my kids do it? And I would. I would. I see the wildness in their eyes, and if they wanted to do it, geez, I'd let them at it, because I had great crack doing it, and great crack. I loved every moment of it.
It's interesting with Davy, Paddy, because when I used to talk about Davy, like when the old At the Races had the Irish racing, like Irish racing was in our blood every day of the week. And when I used to talk about Davy, I used to say he was like the Dick Francis jockey. Like there was something about Davy that you thought was quite naughty. He was very mischievous, but hilarious at the same time. Like he would have been the perfect main character in some of those Dick Francis novels back in the day were made into films. They're never shown these days, and they're quite hard to find. But is that right? There's a character about you, Davy? Like you, when they draw caricatures of jockeys, it could be a Davy Russell.
I don't know. I just used to have great fun riding horses.
Davy was one of these people who could just switch himself off, but switch himself on just as quick. He could be just having this same conversation 5 minutes before he was going out to ride an even money favourite.
Paddy, remember Paddy used to sit beside me in Aintree, and I remember the last thing I said to Paddy going out before the Grand. We used to have these conversations going out before riding in a Grand National and races like these. We'd have crack like this, and I said to Paddy, I said, geez, I don't know, is there any chance I could put on a second back protector going out on Tiger Road, because I thought he was definitely going to fall, you know. And we'd be having crack, we'd be laughing, and you'd be kind of driving another fella might be riding a bad leper, and you'd be taking the piss out of him, and you'd get to the start and you'd be going to him, I'm taking you on down to the first, like I'm absolutely going to bury you at the first. We'd be telling each other what we're going to do, like trying to just have a bit of crack.
Yeah,
really.
sometimes just trying to relax the mind a little bit. You'd be just talking about stuff like that, but like as I say with Davy, he was always very switched off, but no man could switch himself on within such a short space of time.
Of course, you two are involved with Davy's worst ever ride and worst ever defeat. Because how in God's name did you manage to get Pied Piper to dead heat with Night Salute?
Yeah, I don't know. That was a good one, all right. Jesus.
I never
Should you have won, Davy?
Sure, if I rode it 10 times over, I could have done 10 different things. But I'll be honest with you, he hasn't won much since.
No, he's useless.
He's not an empty the tank. Oh, no, I'd say he'd empty the tank all right, but he'd empty the tank before you'd get near the finish line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't a winner anyway, for sure. Some horses are winners and some horses aren't, and he definitely wasn't a winner.
Paddy just says it's all his strength. It was just that.
Paddy absolutely didn't say that.
You did.
I didn't.
You are so different on air.
No, Paddy actually gave his horse a peach. If I had to do what I wouldn't be brave enough to do what Paddy done on the day, because I didn't. If I done it on Pied Piper, he just wouldn't. He'd leave you down. He would leave you down. But if the roles were reversed, I still don't know if I'd have won the race. Do you know what I mean? He was just, when he came off the bridle, he gave you nothing. But he'd give you everything on the bridle, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Davy,
he should have won a county hurdle as well, sure. He should have won a county hurdle. He pecked at the last. Dan Skelton's horse beat him. Bridget Andrews beat me in Cheltenham. There's no doubt in my mind he should have won it, but he just pecked a little bit at the last and just didn't try very hard up the hill.
Well, they still got hundreds of thousands for him the other day, even though he's absolutely useless. Just tell me, David, we haven't got that much longer, but just the Grand Nationals, were they bigger than the Gold Cup? And how special were those Grand Nationals on the Tiger?
They were very, very special days. Before, during, and after, it was something to behold, really. After all the things I've done through my career from start to finish, they are the 2 days that kind of propel you into the greater known of our sport. You know what I mean? You could be a great rider and you could do loads of great things, but Grand Nationals just kind of make a difference. It's a very, very special race, and England it can't be replicated anywhere else. It only has one home. It can only be one way, and they just need to mind it and drive on with it now and take it for what it is now. It's a marvellous race. It creates a marvellous atmosphere around the whole of England and Ireland and France. It's a worldwide race. You know what I mean? So it's just one of them races that's very special. It was always very special to me as a child. I was a bit of a fairy tale kind of a child growing up. I party politics and I watched all the movies, National Velvet and Champions and all of them. And that's how I fell in love with the sport, or how I wanted to be a jockey, was because of the Grand National, you know.
And finally, I wanted to give you a couple of, actually the producer wrote these down, so nothing to do with me. He just said, ask him about these either ors. Michael O'Leary or Eddie O'Leary?
They both come as one. They're a team. It's a team.
You have to choose one you like and one you don't. Michael O'Leary, you go on holiday, do you take Michael O'Leary or Eddie O'Leary?
Who's paying?
Paddy. But you're not going to answer, are you?
No, because I enjoy both of them, to be honest.
Okay, Ruby Walsh or Paul Townend, or Townsend, as Paddy likes to call him.
Paul Townend, I know Paul since he was in nappies.
Yeah. I mean, just quickly, because we're up against it, but he is a classic example, isn't it? A butter wouldn't melt on the track, but an absolute hooligan off it.
Oh my God, baby-faced assassin is what he is.
Baby-faced assassin. Davy, we can't thank you enough for stopping by. I wanted to catch up with you because everyone loves a bit of Davy Russell. We love a bit of Davy Russell. Let's hope the person who's about to shave you loves a bit of Davy Russell as well. And if they do, they can keep some.
Davey, have a lovely trip to America.
He's got a book out as well. He didn't ask to plug it at all, but the book is very good.
Thanks,
What did you
Matt.
actually say to the Clonmel stewards?
Oh, Jesus, I went mental that day now.
What did you just tell us what you said?
I can't really remember. It was all in a rage. I the license at him, told him to this and that, and everything was everybody was wrong bar me anyway, that's for sure and certain.
Okay, well, it's time for this, I think. Davey, thanks very much for coming on. Have a great day. I think you're off to the States tomorrow or something, so have a great time, whatever you're up to. And it's always lovely to speak to you, so thanks so much.
Yeah, all the best, Davey. Thank you.
Lads.
Cheers.
Matt.
Thanks.
That's Davy Russell. Oh. Now, Paddy, Davy Russell won the Moscow Flyer Novices Hurdle once in his career. If you can tell me the name of the horse he won it on, I will cancel your bill for the dinner night out and I will pay myself.
No, well,
This is your get-out card. If you can tell me the horse Davy Russell won the Moscow Flyer Novices Hurdle on, which could be the big race this weekend if the racing is on. Lots of race meetings will be off. If you can give me the right answer right now, Tom, the producer, will be desperately looking it up at this minute to try and feed it to you. So you're going to have to be quick. Can you give it to me?
Sam Crow.
You're still paying. Trifolium, I knew, because I had, in my mind, I'd never heard of that horse. It's one of those horses you've just, even though it won it, and obviously at the time you'll have known about it, you kind of, with the benefit of hindsight, you've never heard of Trifolium.
How did you remember that?
I researched for that quiz question on the basis I knew that, like, if you've never heard of horses like Salvatore Mundi, you're not going to know of Trifolium. Salvatore Mundi is likely to go for the Moscow Flyer. He's favourite for the Supreme. He was a good winner when last seen. He ran okay in the Triumph Hurdle behind Madgeborough. Very lightly raced, Donnelly horse. I mean, all eyes will be on him at the weekend to see how good he is, I guess.
Yeah, when you're looking through the Supreme here, like it's an open race at the minute. Be interesting to see him the weekend. The other horse and Willie's in this is interesting. Quebec, Des Bordes.
Okay. Yeah.
He never jumped a hurdle in Leopardstown, and he still won well. I'd say he's a fair horse, and he's one that stands out there for me at the minute.
Do you this horse is by Salvatore Mundi by no risk at all. It's very much French. It didn't cost an awful lot. As a 2-year-old, cost 70,000, so it was bought quite young. Related to 2.5 mile hurdle winners. I'm just having a look here. Nothing that absolutely shouts out at me. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's a very lightly raced horse. The Triumph form suggests it's not. It wasn't favourite for the Triumph or anything like that. Held up in rear, no impression, weakened before last. Brian Hayes rode for Willie Mullins. I mean, I'm a bit surprised it is favourite for the Supreme, to be honest.
Yeah, probably on reputation more than anything else. It was second to Sergino in France. Isn't that right? And but the key point I would say on this horse is the fact that Willie only ran it in the Triumph and he didn't go and try and win a maiden hurdle or anything like that. He purposely kept it as a novice for this season. Look, as I say, you look through this, you could make a case for a number at the minute. The Dublin Racing Festival will tell a lot, and the new line coming back to 2 miles, that could be an option. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's as spurious form line as you can get. Trying to judge Salvatore Mundi on the second Sergino at Auteuil. Like, Sergino and Salvatore Mundi were both big prices for that race. Neither of them were fancied. Salvatore Mundi did actually head Sergino on the run-in, and then Sergino sort of battled back and got up late. But I think if you're judging Sergino through that...
You're trying to find something, but it's WP Mullins is the factor there, isn't it? He's going to have the favourite for the race with a number of horses at the minute, so it just happens to be that one, and see what happens the weekend.
Yeah, and the weather is going to play. There's a chance the horse called Lulamba, who's quite fancied for the Triumph Hurdle. That horse could go at Kempton if that meeting is on. Again, a French import, Lulamba. Again, a Donnelly horse, but this time trained by Nicky Henderson. Just had the one run at Auteuil, was a winner at Auteuil. All eyes on that horse, but, you know, as far as we're concerned, sat in the old Unbridled studio. Guesswork for us, Lulamba. I'm not expecting you to tell me anything about it, Paddy, because no one knows anything about it other than the fact it won at O'Toy first time in one of those AQBS races.
Yeah, look, he's a talking horse at the minute, but it'd be nice to see him out. It'd be just nice to get some racing on, so fingers crossed we get a bit of racing at Kempton.
Yeah. Of all the horses you ever rode, what was like at this time of year when it's muddy and was there ever a horse you thought, oh, I can't wait for it to be heavy? Because that boy, he'll just love ploughing through the mud.
Yeah, there was a number of horses, but the one that springs to mind the most was Chase the Spud. He could never have it deep enough. He won a Midlands National, and heavy would feel like good ground on him. It's a short window for heavy ground. People would say, oh, the ground's deep at the minute, but it doesn't actually last as long as you think, so he was fun to ride on the heavy. I loved riding on the heavy ground. It was much easier hitting the ground.
Well, Chase the Spud was a horse that Paddy used to like riding. No surprise then that in this show of Unbridled, he's been a little bit chippy.